And with practice, it can be done. It really can. That's the first thing I'd recommend to you. So let's get to the second main point, which is the body. So we've already discussed the mind. Now let's talk about the body, and we'll discuss spirit last. So when the body is healthy and calm and relaxed, your life obviously goes that way. And that's not always possible because all of us, myself included, we manage our bodies. Our bodies are, again, a reflection of what's going on within us internally. There's many, many, many books about this. Herbert Benson's book, The Mind-Body Connection, Louise Hay, any of these types of authors and novels about the whole concept of what we think, what we feel determines our health. And this is, of course, true if you even talk to a regular MD. They'll tell you that stress and things like this affect your cortisol levels, your adrenal levels, and it's been proven over and over again in research studies that stress impacts health. So with that understanding of the mind-body connection, the thing I always stress to people, which is really not stressed a lot in these books, but when I used to teach a class on mind-body health, is the body follows the mind, not the other way around. We think that, oh, wow, I have this pain in my wrist, and and now I'm feeling kind of sad because I have this pain in my wrist. No, you have this pain in this wrist because of what your mind was already capitulating months and months or years and years prior to that. If you had an accident and perhaps you sprained your wrist, there's symbology behind that. But the point I'm making is that the body follows along with what the mind is previously thinking and feeling. So when your mind's scattered, when your mind is ungrounded, when it's filled with a lot of anxiety and stress, this, of course, impacts your health. And besides the obvious things like eating good, healthy foods, diet, it's all about everything that you consume. This is oftentimes not spoken about when you go to see a normal dietitian or a healthcare practitioner. They're only going to mention so much about this, but it's everything that you consume. So what do I mean by that? So food is something we consume internally, right? But we also consume the internet. We also consume social media. We also consume the television. We also consume negative thinking from other people. We also consume the environment around us, et cetera, et cetera. And so you have to be mindful of these things that you're consuming besides only food. And drink and water and that sort of thing. And so keep that balanced and keep your foods and your diet and everything in a simple place, and that should help with being calm and centered. Of course, I'm generalizing. That won't work for everybody. Some people need the stimulus, and some people want the variety of foods, etc. But again, when you study the gurus, the monks, the nuns, all of these what they call ascetic practitioners. These are people that wanted to cultivate the mind and the heart. And they would go off into a mountain or they'd go off to a monastery or what have you. And one of the first things they do is they regulate their diet. They keep the diet very, very, very simple. And they keep their everyday life very, 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 very structured, you see. And so this cultivates the mind. It makes the mind used to a certain routine, and it keeps it in that place. And finally, one of the best methods that I've found, and I've been practicing for over 30 years, to keep the body healthy and to keep the mind calm, it's meditation. And perhaps many of you have tried meditation. Maybe you are successful at it, maybe not. Maybe you got fed up with it, etc. I feel the reason for that, and I've studied many, many forms. I've taught many forms of meditation. The Eastern traditions all teach, oh, you meditate for hours and hours and hours and hours. And in our modern capacity, we don't have the ability to do that, in my opinion. Especially with the internet, especially with everything happening so rapidly, our attention span is 2 minutes or less, 2 minutes or less. So I'm going to teach, towards the end of this class, I'll teach a quick 2-minute calming exercise. And of course, I'll get into some other classes about that go into depth about meditation, but there's many techniques. But it all has to do with habituation. So if you meditate either every day or, habitually enough, it could be two days a week, or it could be once a week or once a month. It doesn't matter. But as long as you're habitual about it, it's like training to be an athlete. It's like training to play a musical instrument. Your mind and body will get used to that. And when your mind and body get used to that, it becomes habituated in the body and in your thoughts and in your feelings. And so you learn to stay tuned to that space that every meditator gets to. And we can get into that more in another class. So let's just try this little quick 2-minute exercise. I'll get into it here. The first thing you want to do, of course, if you've never meditated, there's two basic body positions. The first body position is like in a chair like I'm in which your spine is as erect as possible, your head, held high, your shoulders sort of relaxed, and you want to be able to be in this position for different energy reasons, but also because it keeps you in a comfortable and yet alert place. I never recommend people to meditate lying down because it's too indicative of being asleep, and many times people will go to sleep. Now, the second main way that people meditate is sitting on the floor or on a pillow or what have you with legs crossed. That can work for some people, and it took me many years to get to that place meditating because it used to cut off the circulation in my legs because I have Western muscles in my legs, meaning as Westerners, and I'm kind of making a joke of this, we're used to sitting in chairs. In other countries, they sit on the ground, or they don't habitually have furniture to sit on and such like we would, and so to be sitting on the ground becomes natural. It's whatever is more comfortable for you, either sitting in a chair or sitting cross-legged on the ground, or sitting in a meditation chair as well. That will work. And essentially all you want to do is you want to concentrate, and this again is only going to take 2 minutes, so try to follow along with this if you want. You want to first put your focus and your mind and your attention on the center of your being, or what I call the center of the body. So the center of the body, showing this model here, the center of the body is between the sacral and the solar plexus, or the bottom here of the rib cage. Assuming, say, the belly button is right about there, the center of the being is right around that area. And you'll know it. Sometimes it's a little higher for some people. Some people it's way up in here, and that's fine. Just go with whatever you feel to be the center of your being. And just place your focus there. You can even place your hand there. I don't know if you can see my hand. You can place your hand there. And then all you're going to do is you're going to take a few deep breaths. It doesn't matter the number. Let's just say 3. And the ideal being through your nose and out through your mouth. As you take each breath, you want to feel your body becoming more and more calm. And if you feel any tension in your body at all, bring your focus to that tension, meaning you want to focus on it and then do some release on that, meaning let's say I'm feeling tense in this shoulder right here, let's say. Then I want to bring my focus right here, and I want to breathe into that 3 times until it releases. And it doesn't have to release completely. And do that through your whole body. Start with the top of your head and go down to your feet, or start at your feet and go up to the top of your head. And you're basically mentally scanning your entire body for any tension. Once you've done that and you're in a place of calm, and you want to imagine yourself, whether you're cross-legged or sitting, as you're grounding yourself into the earth. You want to literally visualize and imagine that there's roots or energy going through your legs into the earth. This is very important in this exercise. In other types of meditation, maybe not so much, but in this exercise, I want you to be grounded, and so that's the focus. And then once you've gotten your place that you're grounded, you have your hand, you're focused on the center of your being. It's really simple. I just want you to say your name 3, 4, 5 times. It sounds silly, but just say it with intention. I am Hal. I am Hal. I am Hal. And then sit with that for a few seconds until you feel very grounded. And an interesting technique you can do is you can slap the tops of your legs right up near your knees and stomp your feet a few times. Take a deep breath, and you can snap your fingers or what have you to feel fully awake again. These are also hypnotic techniques for doing hypnosis. So that quick, 90-second, 120-second exercise, anytime throughout the day you can do this. Of course, don't do this while driving, okay? Of course, don't do this while operating heavy machinery, etc. But take 2 minutes for yourself. I don't care how busy you are. If you don't have 2 minutes, then you're not nurturing yourself, okay? And do that exercise, and that will help calm both the mind and the body. Other quick little techniques that you can use, you can walk barefoot in nature, just wiggling your toes around in the grass or in the sand or even in the mud, is very, very, very grounding. You'll feel it energetically, you'll feel it emotionally, you'll feel it in your body. If you don't have the ability to do that, just take your wrists and turn your faucet on, and either whatever temperature feels good for you but feels grounding, and just run your wrist underneath the faucet for a few minutes, and you'll get grounded. You can also go and hug a tree, and I know that sounds silly. A lot of people say, oh, those tree huggers. Hugging a tree will get you very grounded very quickly. Other quick tips that I recommend, again, these are for the body, is, get a pet, talk to a positive friend, journal, scream. Sometimes this helps release. They used to, back in the 60s, they had scream therapy. Dance, sing, do yoga, do deep breathing. In fact, always watch your breathing. During the day, you may notice, especially if you're like me, you work on a computer, your neck, your shoulders, your breathing will change on you, and it's important to be mindful of that, to always have your attention to how calm you are in the body. Okay, so the first thing we discussed is in the mind. We talked about the importance of being in the body. The last point that I want to mention, that it's really, really important now with all these ascension and awakening energies that are being discussed in the metaphysical world, to be really grounded right now. It's very, very important right now, because it's very easy to get scattered. As I talked about in the beginning, we're in a time that's very, very polarized, which, consciousness is a fancy way of saying thinking. We all live in what Jung called the collective unconscious, in which we are susceptible to what I call a mass way of thinking, mass thought. And so it's very important to keep both your mind and your body very, very grounded. And again, think about it visually, as though I have this energy pulling me this way, I have this energy pulling me this way, and if you allow it, it'll do just like what I'm showing with my hands. It'll tug and tug, and it'll be like a tug of war. And of course, that ungrounds the body immediately to be getting into that level of thinking. So the last element I want to talk about is spirit. And it's really important to have the understanding of the spiritual aspects of your being. The first element, the first part of this I want to talk about is living in this, what we call a now moment. There's a lot of teachers about this, especially Eckhart Tolle, I don't know how he pronounces his last name. He's really good about this, about staying in this now moment. Again, all of the gurus and all of the ancient teachers all spoke about this, staying in the present. It really, in my mind, it means that you have an appreciation of the present moment. Again, the thing to remember, and this is a concept I can talk about more in another class, is there really is no time or space. If you're thinking constantly, what was the expression I heard at one point, if you're thinking constantly about the past, that leads to depression. And if you're thinking constantly about the future, that can lead to anxiety. And I believe it's the Dalai Lama that said this. So living in the now moment is what keeps you calm and keeps you grounded. Because in reality, think about this, is the only thing that matters is right now. 5 seconds just went by, and see, 5 seconds ago, that was 5 seconds ago. That's the past, okay? And the only thing you can concentrate on in the fullest extent is the now. Um, this is the key to everything. There's no future, there's no real past in this sense. There's really only this present moment. So there's a certain beauty of being in this present moment, and this can be a very, very powerful tool, especially in times of uncertainty and what we would call chaos. So everyone's world is dependent upon their perspective experience of this world. So if you only focus on the chaos, right, when you examine what's really going on, especially with the news and everything right now at this moment, and we're recording this on, by the way, December 14th, 2020, if all you're focusing on is the chaos, that's all future tense, right? Oh, this could happen, or oh, I could get sick. See, so that's all future tense. That's not thinking in this now moment. In this now moment, are you sick? Well, let's say you are. Okay, if you are sick in this now moment, then that you either are getting sicker, okay, or you're healing more. Again, see, this is perspective. And you can't say, well, the doctor told me this and so. So are you just going to 110% believe in what the doctor told you? Or science tells me this and so, or the news told me this and so. You see, so, and this is a difficult concept, and it's very impactful, though, for your life, is to stay within these confines of this now place, this now moment, because it's really the only thing that matters. Besides that is that the way to manifest and create is from a position of now. You can't create from the past, and you can't create for the future. You can have goals for the future and what you would like to come into your experience for the future, but the real truth and power of creation happens in this now moment. And that's ideally the best way to be calm and peaceful. And it's really that simple. And so it's about practicing your thinking and your being until it happens. Lastly, or one of the last couple of things I want to discuss, and this may be a little more advanced for some of you, or perhaps some of you don't believe in some of the metaphysical concepts, but since I come from that perspective, I need to discuss this and share this with you. The thing is, we are sovereign beings. Sovereign meaning independent, okay? Sovereign meaning that we're extremely powerful light beings inhabiting a very dense, constrictive physical body is the best way to say it. You have the highest and the most ultimate power to change your world. You're independent of anyone or anything outside of you in the most ideal sense. We are that, okay? The proof and validity of this is you can have two people who have completely different experiences working in the same company, working in the same location, working in the same room. You can have two people in the same room listening to a lecture and have completely different experiences. And experience is the same as saying perspective. Their reflection of this room that they're in listening to this lecture is different between Mary and what Bob is experiencing. Why is that? And so that's because you are the creator of your reality. You are this sovereign being. Truly nothing outside of you holds power over you other than what you give it, meaning what attention you put on it. I remember a guru I had many, many years back in the early 90s used to, when we just have a normal conversation, he would say, yeah, I don't put any thought on that. And that really bothered the heck out of me. I could not wrap my brain around that at that time. I understand that concept now. It's what you put your thought on, what you put your attention on determines your perspective. And if you come from this position that you're this incredibly expansive creator being, you create your entire world. You create everything about your experience, regardless of anything going on outside of you. If you come from that perspective, then your attention is in the now and you see yourself as powerful. So think about this. You're as I said, incredibly expansive soul being. You don't have any true boundaries or limits, and this physical world then is an illusion. It's a valid illusion, meaning you can stub your toe, you can break a bone, but still from this world, from the perspective of your soul being, it's illusionary. Okay, so whatever's going on outside of you is only coming into you based upon what you accept, is really a good way of saying it. So as an example of this, my first undergraduate paper I did on dreams. I teach lucid dreaming and dream work, dream journaling, all that kind of stuff. And because I practiced that and did lucid dreaming, I researched this concept of dreams, but in different cultures. So an interesting perspective, the Aborigines, and there's not just their culture, there's other cultures that believe this as well. The original, what I call the original cultures, I don't like to call them primitives from an archaeological standpoint. That's a very negative connotation. But the original cultures, before we became, technologically advanced, the original cultures, they felt that life itself is really the dream. And when you dream, that's when you're waking up and experiencing the real you, or the real world. So sit with that for a second. It's like, think about this. What if that's true? It's very, very akin, very much like the movie The Matrix, which I highly recommend for anyone who has never seen it, or if you have seen it, go back and re-examine it as a documentary, because it is a documentary of the spiritual realm. We are living in a matrix. We are living in a self-imposed matrix. We are also living in an encapsulated trap, which I can get into in some other classes. I don't want to get into that now. But it's really, the real world is in our consciousness and in our soul being level, in our higher self level. This world we have here is really the dream. It's as though we are video game players. We are the avatars living in this dream. And we can get hurt, okay? So please don't try to go jump off a building and fly. That would be very, very wrong. Don't try that. But my point being is that what you experience for your life and for your world is an illusion until you accept it. Okay? And you control how you want to experience this by how you think and how you feel, and that what reflects back to you. So again, this goes back to my main point of this whole talk of being calm and centered, because this then, enables you to have a healthy perspective on your life, to keep a very calm, centered focus of your life in the now, and you determine yourself how you perceive your life. So don't get into fear. That's my main point that I want to get back to. When I say don't get into the drama, it means don't really get into the fear, because fear is one of the main counterparts to what keeps us out of calm and keeps us out of the now. Fear is an ego construct. We're here on a planet of contrast. There's a light, there's a dark, there's a yin, there's a yang. So we become too focused on that which is not love. And fear is that which is not love. Fear is the absence of love. And by being into fear, you're impacting your body, you're impacting your mind, and you're impacting your spirit. Again, you have control over this. You can manage your thoughts and your feelings. And I'm going to do a whole other class just on that, because I know it's a very, very, very difficult concept. You don't achieve that overnight. Most people don't. It takes practice, like anything, like I said, practicing to be an athlete, practicing to play a musical instrument, practicing your mind, to manage your mind and your feelings takes an effort and takes a discipline to do that. But again, don't get into the fear. Hold the light. Hold yourself in this ideal space of you as a sovereign being. Okay, so that concludes the talk that I have for today. As sort of a gift to everybody that listened and to the end, I'm going to go ahead and post some links below this video on how to get one of my newest free ebooks. It's in beta, so I will have another version out, which will be at a cost, but this is just my beta version, so I'll go ahead and gift this to everybody listening. I'm calling it Silver Linings, Finding Hope in Turbulent Times. I'll go ahead and verbally give the link now. It's a bit long, and then I'll post it underneath as well. But it's Hal Weinshank, my full name, HALWEINSHANK dash the number 1 Clixley.com. So Clixley, CLIXLI.com. So halweinschenk-1.clixley.com. And if you go there, you have to, you give over your email address. I don't spam anyone. It's just usually a weekly or a monthly newsletter, and keep you informed on my next podcast coming up, that sort of thing. If you want to schedule a private spiritual counseling session with me, I normally do 1-hour sessions, although I can do shorter ones as well. Reach out to me at soullearn@protonmail.com. So that's soullearn, SOULLEARN, at protonmail.com, spelled PROTON, mail.com. Okay, so everybody stay light, be calm. Remember, you create your world. You decide the perspective you have about interpreting your world, and your interpretation is unique to you. Don't let anybody else tell you what your world is, okay? Nothing truly outside of yourself, not politics, not environment, not health issues, nothing can determine your worldview for you. So by being centered within your true self, the true part of you, you will naturally remain calm, still in the face of the appearance of what seems like a storm. Okay? Step back, keep a healthy perspective, and realize you are your life. Be light, be calm. This is Hal Weinschenk for now, signing off for Spiritual Power Hour. I thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you next time. Okay, bye-bye now.